We're live, everybody. We're coming out live. Thanks for tuning in. If you are seeing this, you already know it's a Friday, and you know Attorney Stephen Leahy is going to be doing our, giving you great insight, knowledge, and everything about taxes. No, I'm joking. We're going to have a great show here today. Remember, Open Tax Advocates is there for you, 312-664-6649, or visit chicagotaxteam.com. It's going to be your hub to help fight the IRS. Without further ado, here's your host, Attorney Stephen Leahy.
I really like that thumbnail there with that's me at the Freedom Summit. And behind the podium. I really love to do these, the talks right before they introduce people. I've been doing quite a few of them, like it. Anyway, we had a guest here. Our guest was Ray Kaplan today, but Ray had one thing about interviewing attorneys. They have a busy calendar and stuff happens, and so sometimes you have to make do. So we're going to book Ray on another show. We love Ray Kaplan.
We're going to bring it because, again, she has such great insight onto, fixing your student loan debt.
She's the greatest.
And especially with what's going on, too.
Oh.
Now, here's what's kind of cool, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing a new show. I'm not Attorney Stephen Leahy. Let me take that off for you. You're taking a look don't look behind the curtain. But, again, what we're doing here today, given that there's so much out there, I want to hear Attorney Stephen Leahy's insight because politics and law go hand in hand.
Well, that was part of our show when Jimmy and I had the show we did on WIND AM 560.
The answer.
You almost
missed it.
We almost missed it.
I got a lot going on here, man. I'm trying
I'm trusting Jim to do the production today. He's produced the last 3 or 4 of our shows, and so he's still learning.
And if anybody knows me, it takes a while for me to learn.
I think anybody it is kind of confusing, and it's like everything else. You don't know it until you do it. You could kind of practice all the time, but until you're live doing a show and things go wrong, that's when you learn.
And boy, have things gone wrong.
But we're going to talk about all the good stuff or the bad stuff, if you think about it, because the bad stuff is the assassination attempt. I don't know, Jim. Did you see the video I sent you about the guy on top of the water tower?
Yeah, but this is this is the problem that you have, and this is a problem that we all have when it comes to not putting out any information and it's going slowly, especially in this day and age. These conspiracy theories run amok. Now there's multiple shooters. It's an inside job. Look, all I could say is this: thank God that President Trump is alive.
Did you see the most recent video of catching getting a hole in his ear?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
It's unbelievable.
That's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
And so if people, it was a shard of glass that got him. First off, it doesn't even matter if it's a shard of glass that gets
Somebody tried to shoot.
But the guy was way off. Even if it was a shard of glass, it's still a bullet that caused a shard of glass. But they can't. But even Zuckerberg today said something like that. Van Jones, right? Hey, you couldn't write this thing better than what's going on.
And it's interesting because I was listening to a prominent guy, a former radio host, talk about this, and he was saying, you literally cannot write this. You can't write these kind of stories. You can't. Nobody would believe this. And this kind of goes into our first thing. Let's talk about Attorney Stephen Leahy.
Well, remember, Jim, it wasn't too long ago we had the Las Vegas shooter, and that was another one where nothing ever came out.
No, nothing.
They never told anybody about it. We still don't know anything about the Las Vegas shooter. I read some things in between that and how he bought the car and all, but it all went away. Try to find something. Go to Google and try to find something about it. You'll find nothing. Yeah. There's nothing there. So what happened there? Or the trans girl down in Indiana when she shot out that school. What happened to her? Nobody knows. They won't tell you. How about the biggest one? Nobody ever talks about. Remember Christmas Day when there was that bomb in yes.
Nashville? Nobody ever talks about that.
Yes. That's another one. It's like, well, what was his motive? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But man, if there's they already called this kid about the assassin that he was a Republican. Let's stop and think about this. If he's a Republican, because he registered as a Republican, and many Democrats register for Republicans to vote against
and vice versa.
Well, it's Rush Limbaugh, the famous what did he call it? But Rush Limbaugh had the campaign to everybody should vote for Hillary because our guy was already locked. Right, we already knew who our guy was, so you go vote for Hillary to get her in because we think we could beat her. Mm-hmm. That's a common practice in these states like Illinois and that state. Where is that? Pennsylvania, where you can register as a Republican and go vote, and that's all it takes. Go cast a vote for a Republican. What ballot do you want? I'll take a Republican ballot. It doesn't make you a Republican, but anyway. But let's think about it. If he's a Republican, why is he shooting at the Republican candidate? He just wanted to do a mass shooting. He could have done a mass shooting. It would have been easy for him to kill a lot of people before he shot at, even after he shot at the president. I guess he had. They took him out fairly quickly after the shot.
It's just terrible, and the reason why we have this pulled up here is because with everything lined up the way it was, right?
And what is the story that you have up there?
This one I'm trying to get at here, right? Is that me and you both were talking about this, and we kind of prefaced like you can't write this story, right? It's one of the greatest political comebacks ever in history.
But isn't it Adam Schiff up on
But this is why he's on here is because now they're talking about getting rid of Joe Biden.
Oh, that's
because he can't compete.
But that's the third story I wanted to talk about. So we're going to.
What's the first story? I'll pull up.
First story is the assassination attempt.
Well, I don't really have the story pulled up here, so let me try to look that.
But put me up on there.
Okay.
You can switch.
I'm not F11 it. F11 it. No, they can see what's behind the curtains here. They're already taking a look.
That's fine. Put them up.
There's too much going on.
But anyway, I wanted to put that on there, but because I wanted to talk about the assassination first. It's only 6 days ago, because it was last Saturday.
Yeah.
So much has happened in those 6 days. Here he did. I got to say that his the second story we're going to talk about is the Republican convention, and it kind of delves into this whole with the assassination because here he was last night, President Trump. I don't love President Trump's speeches, and I don't love his campaign. When he goes to these events, these rally events, he kind of rambles, and he kind of rambled last night.
An hour and a half.
But one of the good parts about him rambling last night is, here's a guy who was shot 5 days before. He gets up and he can ramble for an hour and a half on his feet and talk and he's still talking. But Joe Biden couldn't do that for 10 minutes. Right, and that's just a fact. And even if it was somebody else like Kamala Harris, and everybody says, do I mispronounce that, Jim? Is it Kamala? Is it Kamala? I don't know.
I've heard it both ways.
I don't know. But either one, it is what it is. And but again, it kind of shows that he has this stamina, even after he was shot 5 days before. He's milking that because he has that bandage on his ear. If he didn't have the bandage on his ear and it was injured, you'd say he's milking that there just to show his injury and get sympathy. So any way he goes, it's going to be wrong.
I mean, did you see that video where they took a piece of his ear is missing?
That video of all of a sudden you see his ear and then you see the hole in it, the ear.
Yeah. There's a piece of his ear.
It's kind of amazing.
Absolutely missing. So it's wild.
I don't know if you've seen any of these 3D renderings where here's his head, the crosshairs on it. It's right in the middle of his head, and then he turns his head, and then it's his ear. So it's like that. And you can't help but talk about divine intervention on things like this. You just can't. And it doesn't matter that he's the president, although that makes it more divine, I think. But because if it were me or you, and someone's shooting in some parking lot, and we turn our head and it hits our ear, and if we didn't turn our head, it would have shot us in the head. If we didn't turn our head, we would have been dead. We would say, that's divine intervention. How did that happen? Why did I turn my head? I mean, I was just lucky that happened to me. Same thing with Trump. It's lucky. You can call it luck or divine intervention, right? Is it? Now, God bless the gentleman who was killed.
And his family.
And when they say it's fake, it's not fake for that gentleman and his family, or the two people that were injured badly. That's not fake. How can you? Well, and are we so callous? Now, our alphabet organizations callous enough to kill individuals? I think they are. I think Thomas Massey. Look up if you could see Thomas Massey and what he said about this. But Thomas Massey talked about these are the same group of people who investigated. See if you can find it.
Yeah, well, you can continue talking while I look.
Well,
let's try something.
You'll have to get better at this, Jim, because you have to put me on there and then go back when you get it on. There you go.
Thanks so much. I'll be able to get it.
Yeah, there you go. Now you can find Thomas Massey. Yeah. But anyway, he was thought it's true. I don't trust these alphabet organizations to do this investigation. As we just talked about, they investigated the Las Vegas shooter. What do we know about that? Nothing. Right? When they want to bury something, who are they? I heard this.
I'm not really pulling anything up for Thomas Massey at the moment for his quotes on the shooting. Everything's about something from 2022. It's DuckDuckGo.
If you go to X, go to Google, or go to X, you'll find it because it was on X. But Thomas Massey said, and I just thought it was appropriate because he is like, are these the people we're going to trust to look into this matter? How about this? How about we let the United States Secret Service do an investigation and find out what happened? Right? Would you trust that investigation? It's a terrible thing when we have to count on incompetence, right? Because there's no conspiracy. We're just incompetent. And they said, "Well, what's incompetence? You've seen it. Everybody's seen now the professional snipers who've lived this and are consulted. They say, if you're a kid who does these any combat videos or combat games, first thing you look at is the rooftops. I mean, anybody knows that. I know that." And I don't know why any Secret Service agent who's in charge or even on the detail of protecting anybody, former presidents or anybody, governor, anybody, wouldn't say, "Hey, why we have somebody on that roof? I'm not bringing my charge out until we get that covered." Right? That's kind of your responsibility too. And aren't you also in the line of fire when they don't have somebody there? Because when they're shooting, you're standing in front of them. Right, so your life is in danger. That doesn't make any sense. So I don't, the rank and file there. I have no qualms except for, and I don't want to go there, but I'm going to talk about some of the Secret Service agents, and now I love women. I have a mother. I have a wife. I love women. I think women could be security guards, and women could be top security people. But when you're talking about like the NBA, Caitlin Clark plays a great basketball game. She's great. Serena Williams, great tennis player. But when you're going to the top of the top, and that's who should be protecting the President of the United States and the former president, should be the top of the top, right? So no qualm on any of the women, but let's face it, just like in the NBA, Caitlin Clark ain't going to make the NBA, right? Serena Williams, when at her very best, couldn't play in men's tennis, right? She's great, but she's not the top of the top, and that's who should be protecting our political leaders, right? The top of the top. And it's just not the fact that we have this Secret Service. The head of the Secret Service is a woman, and I don't want to say she's a DEI appointee, although she had no experience in the Secret Service. Right? She comes from PepsiCo, so she had no experience with the Secret Service, and they put her in charge. And her goal is to have 30% women. Well, where does that number come from? Does that number come from a detailed study to find that 30% of women could do this job? First off, most women don't even want to be Secret Service agents. I think when you look at the crop of potential Secret Service agents, very small percentage are women to begin with. And so if you're going to put 30 of the percentage of the then you're going to put them in, if your goal is 30%, then you're going to get people who otherwise would not qualify. And that's just the way it works. right? The numbers, statistics tell the story. You know, Jordan Peterson talks a lot about this. You know, again, nothing, no qualm. If a woman could do the job, God bless her. She should be. If she could be the best of the best, then she should get the job.
I think one of the big things that we're not really kind of seeing here is that
Is that the Thomas Massey quote?
Yeah, that is. Now I'm all messed up on how this is going to go down here. Hold on, as I switch this, and I don't know. It's not going over to me. It doesn't need to be to me. But the the whole thing about this, they can't do a congressional hearing with this woman, who's running the Secret Service, but she can go on CNN and she can go to all these, things. And so again, there's just a lot of misinformation. There's just a lot of stuff that we don't really know. Thomas Massey's quoted here saying the same bureau that investigated the Las Vegas shooting and the January 6th pipe bombs is now investigating the attempted assassination of Trump. It's also the same bureau that raided Mar-a-Lago. I hope they get to the bottom of this soon.
They'll get to the bottom of it, right? It's like, they're going to do a deep investigation, and they're going to find all the facts, and then within 20 years they'll let us know what the report says. I mean, that's really where we are.
I'm making it all work.
Or not.
Listen, there's a lot of buttons that we've pressed here. It used to be just hit a space bar. Now we got like 9 different things. I can't even get to the shot back to me. We're just going to leave it to where we're at.
So I tell you why.
That's fine. I am pretty sure I'll figure it out too, because it's on audio, not inputs. And then, so let's just focus on.
You don't need the inputs.
Focus on the.
But anyway, hit number 5, and then hit the one above it. And that'll put my number on. See, then that goes to
that goes back to me.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm not Attorney Stephen Leahy. We'll take that. So let's just get back to
you.
Let's just get back to you. Don't worry about me.
We use Livestream Studio 6. It's good. It is good software. I've been using it for a long time. I like it a lot. Jim hasn't been using it for a long time. It is confusing.
I use it one day a week for an hour.
No, I know. It's difficult.
So, I think I'm doing pretty well.
I've been probably streaming for 5 years, maybe longer. Oh, much longer, actually. Because we were on for 8 years. The Trust Radio Network was on for 8 years. Or actually, the IRS Radio Hour was on. The Trust Radio Network probably 5 years or something like that. But anyway, and I love. I always think about the divider in our lives, in all of our lives. What's that? COVID.
That's right.
COVID's 4 years ago. So I started streaming my church Mass every Sunday, right like the first Easter of COVID, and that's 4 years ago now. So it's like, have I been streaming for 4 years? Well, I was already an expert by then. Not an expert attorney, because you can't be an expert attorney. But anyway, I wanted to talk about that, so I could rant about this all day long in the Secret Service and where we should go.
How about this other story now because it's really important. Because again, you kind of see the fix that's in, right? And it's all over the place.
What story?
We talked about Joe Biden not being now kind of getting kicked to the rear after all this, because let's face it, after what happened with Donald Trump, it's one of the greatest political comebacks that you've ever seen. You're never going to see something like this again. So
Joe Biden likes to say he's the comeback kid.
That's kind of true.
He ain't the comeback kid. Here's my take on Joe Biden. Let me put this down here. Here's my take on Joe Biden. Okay. Joe, are you going to run? I'm running. It's 100%. I'm running. I'm not getting out. There's nothing only God can take me out. Nancy Pelosi, should Joe run? He should decide by the end of the week. And Joe Biden says, I have decided. I'm in. Well, let's
take your time. Take your time. Let's just take your time.
Talk to your family. See what your staff says, and we'll come back and we'll get your decision. Oh, I've made my decision. Joe says I'm in forever. Oh, but there's a story in the Wall Street Journal that says that you're going to resign on or tell us on Saturday or Sunday. No, I'm in. I'm not going to go off. I'm in. Well, you could decide by Saturday or Sunday if you're going to stay in. Oh no, I'm in. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm on. But Nancy Pelosi thinks, and now Adam Schiff thinks, well, maybe you should step aside. So all of the pressure on him, and it's just that's all it is. They've decided, no matter what he says. I just love the way they do that, though. Yeah, he'll decide by the end of the week. I have decided. Oh no, you let him decide. Well, I have decided.
You got Peter Schiff coming out and saying,
Adam Schiff. Peter's his brother.
That's his cousin.
Cousin.
Who did I say? Peter Schiff?
Yeah, you said Peter. It's Adam Schiff.
Adam Schiff. Whatever.
F11.
I got 9 things I got going on.
I get it.
This isn't even my show. I'm not even supposed to talk. Okay? I'm not just supposed to sit here and press a button, and I can't press a button anymore.
That was my instructions.
Yeah.
To sit there just...
No, this thing isn't even working. Anyway, everybody's telling them to drop out, but yet Joe Biden is still saying, no,
F11.
Okay, go ahead and talk about it. Go ahead.
What does it say? What's the
people close by and say he appears to accept? He may have to leave the race.
But if you read the story, that's not what the story says. Maybe people around him says he has to accept, but he hasn't accepted it. He says here, even in this story, he says, "No, I'm in. I've already decided." And actually, no. The only way they can get him to step aside is for him to step aside. They can't make him step aside. Right? They can't take it away from him. He's got he already put you in his pockets, and you all agreed to go in his pocket. And now you're saying, well, we want to get out of his pocket. It's too late. Only he can make that decision now. And I hope he's as stubborn as, because really it's right, he's capitulating that he's a bad president. How can you ask him, who thinks he's the greatest president since Abraham Lincoln, maybe before? I think he genuinely believes that. I think his family genuinely believes that he is if you listen to them, he should just go back on his laurels, accept the great presidency that he had now and step aside. It's like, well, no, if it's such a great presidency, why should he step aside? And if he's incompetent and he shouldn't run for another term, shouldn't he step down now? Isn't that the way it should go? But no, they're not saying that. They're not saying. So for the next 6 months, we should have a guy who can't spell his own name, or the most recent story who looks like he's hitting on some girl that looks like his wife. Did you see that one, Jim?
No. Oh, yeah, that was not even real. Come on.
I have to say what they said, okay? I don't know.
That's just such a ticky-tack. I watched a video. I
know. They say he wasn't sure. But these are the questions that arise when everybody
There's no questions
you.
on that one. There's no question on that one.
Remember the word gravitas?
Oh, I remember. Okay.
That was when George W. Bush picked Dan Quayle, and then they picked I forget who they picked, Lloyd, and that was, he's got gravitas, and everybody said gravitas. Now he says acumen, his acumen. Acuity. Acuity. Does he have acuity? What's his acuity? Nobody used that word before. Now it's everywhere. And everybody uses the same
Do you
word.
have acuity when you're making important financial decisions? Or if your IRS is coming after you?
It's a very nice segue, Jim.
That's what I do best. I segue. I don't really go off the script.
So segues are for kids. Anyway, I think that what's happening, it will he now. Some weeks ago, I was the one saying, "No, he's going." When I think I posted to Jim, when Jimmy Fallon goes against you, it's over. There's nothing you're going to have to step aside.
Jimmy Fallon is the key.
But but Biden has survived that, and then the shooting has given him another week. Because it kind of went out, the assassination attempt. Now they'll tell you, we don't even know it's an assassination attempt. Okay, that might have just been, he might have been out target practicing and just accidentally shot him. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, but getting rid of Joe Biden, not going to be as easy as people think. I actually think I've kind of changed my mind on this, because I said he's going to go. He can't withstand this pressure. But remember what Joe Biden did in the 2020 election. He stayed in his basement, and everybody protects him from what's going on. And so they'll do the same thing here. Put him in the basement. He's in Delaware because he's got COVID now, and nobody's going to he's not watching. Let's not put TV on, Pops. Let's not put him on. You need to rest. And so he'll be protected from this mayhem. And the New York Times saying that he should step aside. No, actually what the New York Times said was, he's decided to step aside. We think. Okay, but then he says, no, I did. I never said that. So now I'm starting to think maybe he'll stay. Maybe he'll tough it out. I'm sure he believes he's the only. He's said it many times. He's the only one that can beat Donald Trump. Certainly, his vice president can't. I mean, now they're talking about. I don't know if you saw this Kamala Harris and who she's picking her. She's already vetting.
I did not even see that. I don't know if that's
She's already
true.
vetting, according to stories. She's already vetting vice presidential candidates.
Well, let's
and one of them is J.B. whatever his name.
Say that 5 times. Say that 5 times.
I like to call it Prickster.
Because that's hilarious. Nobody's ever heard that before.
Yeah. So no.
I know.
You know. So yeah. Why would they pick him? Funding. He can fund the whole damn thing, and he wants it so bad. He's always wanted it so. And then Shapiro from Pennsylvania.
Ben Shapiro seems like an odd choice.
Gavin Newsom, but I don't know if you saw this. The latest law in
you just lost Tesla and SpaceX,
and because of the law that they put that if your kid goes to school and says that they're transgender, the school can't tell you that what your kid's doing at school. So when he goes to school, he's Jimmy. At school, he's Mary.
Why do you have to bring up my childhood like that?
And then when he gets back home, he's going to be Jimmy again, and nobody will tell him that he's Mary at school. They got a dress for him at school or whatever. Hey, women don't always wear a dress. I get it. I understand. But that's cost him, as you said, Tesla and SpaceX. And how many other companies have said, if that's the last straw for him, how many other companies have said that's the last straw? And so now, can you pick Gavin Newsom now? When he's even in his own state, he can't hardly make it. Remember, they had the recall vote for him in California. No, he survived it. It's California, and it wasn't that it. Let's remember the 2020 election. Whether you think it was legitimate or not, it was a 50-50 election, right? It was within 50,000 votes of going one way or the other. So we've been a divided nation. Maybe something like this will clear us. I was thinking about this today about when Barack Obama was elected. And remember, it was a fairly straightforward. Here, talk, Jim, and then I'll get it.
I don't even know how to change it. I know. Just let's do this though.
Press 2.
How about this? I think the most important part about this.
No, you're off.
Yeah, I think the most important part about this is that Attorney Stephen Leahy. Let's do this. Next week, we're going to have some more great guests. We're going to have more insight, more talk. I love talking about this.
Scott Burton is on next week.
That's right.
Talk about estate planning and him. Most of the interviews I do on Trust Radio Network are really about the attorneys themselves. Now, it is about the work that they do because that's really what that distinguishes them, right? In the work that they do and the people that they help. And that's really what I like to focus on. How did they get there? What kind of attorney are they? What did they do before that? What kind of advice do they have for my own kids? Because I always ask that question. What do they think makes a good attorney? All of that.
So that's why, again, we're going to be bringing up such great, and again, more great content. It's going to be coming for you here. Remember, you can always catch our show. It'll be live streaming every Friday, right? And that's what we're going to be doing, Attorney Stephen Leahy. He is putting out great content. That's what we do best. Isn't that right?
I don't know about best, Jim. We do it good.
I think it's best.
Okay, well, I get it.
I'm a big fan of it. So
I am too, and I like to do it. I like to rant about it, I can, sometimes I'm singing to the choir. I don't sing, so you got that going for you.
Lucky us.
But I do, these events of the last week have really kind of. I was talking about Barack Obama, so I want to go back to this because when he was elected and he had a very strong, came in with a lot big numbers. I started thinking to myself, Steve Leahy, maybe you were wrong. Maybe Barack Obama and all of these people are right. That all those things that you believed in, capitalism, hard work, all of that the way to fight inflation. All of that was all wrong. You've been wrong all along. And Barack Obama is right. And so I kind of assigned myself, said, yeah, well, let's give him a chance. Right? And again, I'm not politically
you have no
aligned.
Political affiliation.
I'm not politically aligned with Barack Obama or any of his politics. But I did, given the numbers and everybody saying what a great, every news outlet telling me that this was, again, he's going to stop the flow of the water and he's going to change the course of history. And so I thought, maybe I'm wrong. Remember, he came in and he spent all that money. He's going to show us, the not only the ACA, Obamacare as we call it, all of that came in and I said, and then what happened? I was right all along. I wasn't wrong. What I believed, the way economy works in the world, was kind of affirmed by his malfeasance, and I think he was. He, and that's kind of the problem now, right? Is that he is still thinking he's in charge. Even because Jim and I were talking a little bit about this, like Joe Biden, he doesn't think he should step aside. Who thinks he should step aside? Now Nancy Pelosi thinks he should. Well, who the hell is Nancy Pelosi to say that? Oh, Barack Obama thinks he should step aside. Well, who the hell is Barack Obama to say that? Since when is he the kingmaker? Well, he's the head of the party. No, the president of the United States is the head of the party. Okay, and Barack Obama might want to pretend like he's the head of the party, but he's not the head of the party. And so why should Joe Biden allow them to pick who should be in charge and who's not in charge, who should run and who should not run? Are we going to let it to Vice President Harris on who she thinks should be she'll pick. I fear who she'll pick as her.
I think but how many people voted for Joe Biden? Or how many of these voters are people that were out for Joe Biden in the primary? Now their vote doesn't matter, and it's going to be down to a select few that's going, you know what, Joe Biden can't win. We're going to do another.
It's about democracy.
I know.
It's just like this. You got to love this because it's all a matter of perspective, right? Whatever is best for them is what they talk about, and that's why it doesn't make any sense, right? This is why I can't be a Democrat, well, for many reasons, but right? I search for the truth, and people go, you're partisan. I'm not as partisan as most people think, because I got to tell you, there's much in the Republican Party I do not agree with, and yet, okay, we have a two-party system. And you have to pick a side, okay? And that's just the way it is. And if you don't pick a side, you're on their side because you're not helping us. We need help of Americans to go the way we all know we need to go. And again, I'm not a huge Trumpeteer, although I got to give him a lot of. I think Tucker Carlson said it best last night when he said, when he went down with that shot, he rose a leader, right? Raising his fist and telling us to fight. Who does that? There's that great meme. Maybe you saw it, the girl who does both sides. And she's, I guess she's a lefty, but she's like, did you hear Trump was shot at? Did they get him or did they miss it? He's okay, right? She says, yeah, he's all right, but he really looked cool doing it. She's like, what do you mean? He got shot, and then don't tell me he stood up, raised his fist, started chanting fight, 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 and then thousands of people joined him in a chant USA, 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 and the girl goes back and goes, she said, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Van Jones came out yesterday, and this is all over Twitter, and he's on just sitting there talking, going, I have not felt anything like this since 2008. I'd love to pull it up. Again, we don't have the audio put in, so it would just be him just talking. No, we don't. No, we don't. From your computer? No, you don't. Anyway,
I could show.
We could do a lot of things, but again, the point is, you can look it up on Twitter. You can follow Attorney Steve. What's your Twitter handle?
I have several. I think Attorney Leahy.
At Attorney Leahy.
I believe it's
follow him.
And I have one at Open Tax. I have two accounts. At Open Tax and at Attorney Leahy.
That's right. But again, like Van Jones was talking about, he hasn't felt anything like this since 2008 with Obama.
Well, again, this is the
positivity.
When you think you found a leader, Okay, Obama came across as a leader, and again, that's why I had to say. And again, I'm not trying to pump up Obama, because in the end, he's false. He's always been false to me, and so I'm not trying to say. But obviously, people thought he was a leader. He didn't lead by example. Right? And again, that's when he stands up bloodied and raises, that's leading by example. You don't get many chances in this world to project that, right? In war, when a man does that in a war, everybody else follows that man, right? Because he's the leader. That's how he becomes the leader, by what he does, not by what he says, not by what he promises, but by what he does.
If we're going to talk about what he does too, and this is kind of when you're picking politics, or when you're picking a president and based on their actions, I mean, kind of going back to this election, remember, everybody forgets how many people were, about Afghanistan. During Biden's president. How about those people? How about the pictures of those people? And I'll pull it up here in just a second. The pictures of those people falling off the plane. Off the plane, because here comes the Taliban.
The same thing happened in Vietnam when we evacuated the American embassy in Vietnam, and those people holding on to the helicopter, and the helicopter trying to pull away. This was worse, because they're hanging on the back of a plane, and the plane is, and they're holding on. There's no hope. If that's the only hope you have, that's a terrible thing that they put you in that they put them in that position, right? That's the position you're in. Hold on to this plane that has almost 0% of chance of you evacuating this way, or standing here and dying in a brutal way. Kind of reminds me of the people jumping out of the 9/11 off the Twin Towers, right? And the horror that they faced. Here's my choice: stay here and burn to death, or jump out the window, right? This is my choice, and this is a reality. This is what's at stake. And I think too often we just think it's politics. It's again, look at the secret. And I'm going to go back to the Secret Service and Donald Trump. It's like they're playing games. Oh, this is just for show. Nobody's really going to try to kill him. We're just here, as a show, like the TSA at the airport. I know we can't really stop any terrorist activity, but we make people feel better. We make people, and we'll make sure Grandma doesn't have too much shampoo in her bottle, right? Because that makes everybody feel safer. And so we'll have all these Secret Service agents, some that hardly come to Trump's shoulders. How are they going to protect him as he walks away? The answer is they can't. They can't protect him. But then, so are they there to protect him? Well, that's what we're told. That they're there to, but if they can't protect them, and we're told that that's what they're for, then it's kind of a costume party, isn't it? It's not real, and then reality comes home, right, and knocks on the door and says, "Here I am." This is reality. That a 20-year-old kid who has no military training can get in a spot to take a shot at the president, former president of the United States, or president, and Lee Harvey Oswald up in some book depository. Well, shouldn't they have known that window? Well, if they didn't know then, they sure know now. But yet, there's nobody up on that one.
It's so obvious that nobody will try it.
It's so obvious, yes. Well, nobody would go up on that roof. Nobody could get up on that roof. Well, why? Because that's the perfect place. But it's so close. That's what makes it the perfect. And we have a whole contingent of officers inside the building. They're inside the building. They got the inside secure. Again, but the guy's up on the roof.
Again, this is the biggest thing, right? Is that imagine, God forbid, if that shot would have landed, the conversations we're having now.
I know.
And what we're doing now.
I agree.
Imagine if that would have got, and thank God it didn't happen.
And the funerals we'd be having now.
I mean, and again, honestly, it just avoiding disaster. It's just, and if we're not having, political conversation. We're having political conversation about it now.
I know.
It would just be insane.
I agree with that.
I'm so glad that we avoided disaster. Again, all right, rest in peace.
Do we skip? Do we avoid that by millimeters? Again, go look at that video of the hole appearing in his ear. I'm kind of smiling because we have so many different views. Everybody had their camera out, right? And so there's so many different views. Here's the guy climbing up. Here's the guy on the roof. Here's the guy. Here's people saying this. Here's the president standing from how many different angles. We have the angle. Now we have the angle of him showing his ear and all of this. But we can't find a UFO. It's like.
The one that shot down.
It's like it's like I met
that's a wild.
I didn't even mention this because we kind of skipped. We skipped from.
We're jumping everywhere.
Well, I kind of had a plan for the show, but you didn't really read it, so you didn't follow it. The plan.
First off,
I'm teasing you, Jim.
First off, it's in Braille. Okay, I don't read Braille.
So the plan was we were going to talk about the assassination attempt, and then I was going to talk about the convention. So I haven't really talked about the convention
because you were there.
Because I was there. I went there on Thursday. I was only there one night. Oh, I was there for Wednesday. Not Thursday. Thursday was Trump. Trump was Thursday. I was there for J.D. Vance's. I want to thank my friend Jack. Forgot he had some credentials, and we drove up there for that night. Again, what a great group of people! It was so fun, and everybody's friendly. And I read this story about somebody from Slate magazine. If you're familiar with Slate, it's a lefty organization, and they say, I went there thinking this was going to be the worst thing in the world, that I was going to meet all these racists. And she said, and the people were so nice to me. Even when they found out I was from Slate Magazine, they were so nice to me.
Well, how was it? Let me ask you this: what were the vibes like? Were people was it just a party?
Yes, it was. Everybody was upbeat and personal. Even though that I talked to the bartender there. Yeah, I don't know. I have this affinity for bartenders. and the RNC was in charge of the liquor list. Bad choices.
Well, really?
Yeah, bad choices. They had.
What are we talking about?
Michelob Ultra.
Okay, I like that. That's good. That's good.
I know, but that's not. That's a light beer. I'm not a light beer guy. And then they had two IPs. One I think was
IPAs.
Called IPA. One was called, I think, Chaos. They had this funny can. I ain't drinking that. One was something else. I don't know what it was. And then they had this ultra, some of the vodka,
the
seltzer mix.
Yeah,
this is all they had. And it was like $12.50.
You know what I love about you? You don't follow the trends, Attorney Stephen Lee. You are a man of principle, old style or bust.
Okay, I was in Milwaukee, so we stopped at a tavern right there. It was called the Oak Barrel. Right when we go in.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
In Milwaukee, nice place. Tavern. I like taverns, and I go into the guy. He had PBR half quarts. Now, anywhere in the country you go, you can drink the PBR half quarts. If I go to Nashville, that's generally what I drink in Nashville. If you go. So I asked the guy, "What are you getting for this PBR?" He said, "I don't know. Like last week or a couple weeks ago, it was $3." I thought, okay.
$3 pretty good.
It doesn't really matter because I'm going to get it no matter what it is.
Yeah.
It turned out it was $4.
What?
And then I went to Miami a couple months ago for a convention, and every place you go in Miami adds 20%. Right, the gratuities added on automatically. I was told, or I surmised, because there's so many international people there in Miami that they don't know what tipping is, and so because they don't know what tipping is, we're going to make them all tip.
I've never heard. Yeah.
Right, and so everybody, no matter where you went, no matter where I went in Miami, a 20% gratuity was added. That happened in Milwaukee. So I got a couple beers. I pick up the bill. I'm like, I had to do the math, and I usually I hand the bill to my wife, and she looks at the math to make sure it's right. I just usually pay the bill, whatever it is, and then you pay your tip. But it seemed high, so I'm like, because I had 2 beers, and a friend of mine had a Miller Lite. Right, so $4, $8, whatever. I think his was $5. I thought $5 for a Miller Lite. Anyway,
really?
Yeah,
that's a little aggressive.
I thought it was aggressive.
In Milwaukee,
but still, then my bill's like, I forget what the bill was.
Wait, was it in Milwaukee?
Yes, in Milwaukee.
Come on, I mean it's brewed right there. You guys literally walked down there.
I get it, but so I look at it. It's a little high, so I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, they added a 22% gratuity. So I was going to tip the guy. I'm like, wait a minute. And I asked the guy, do you guys always put this gratuity? He said that this is an RNC tax. Right, so they're blaming it on the Republican National Convention. Yeah, it's RNC tax. You mean the gratuity's a tax? Well, and I can't say as I blame them. They gotta. It's like going to the ballpark, right? You got a control group. You can charge whatever you want. And that's just the way it is. Drink it or don't drink it. And I think most of us choose to drink it.
Well, also, too, imagine this. Like, there was risk of losing a business, because, again, everybody's worried about riots.
It was, even outside the gate where I walked, there was no sign of
I think so, and I wanted
protests. There was some people with some protesting, whatever, some shirt or something that said something. But I didn't see any protests. I didn't see. So it was a very relaxed crowd, even outside. Usually right before you go in, they got all the Antifa people and everyone. But it's hard to start protesting at the convention. 2 days after the guy was shot at. I mean, it's like, it's not. Even Antifa has to have some manners. Let's wait till the next.
So, but I think that this, though, and I really do believe this, because again, we were seeing this, after all that's been said and done, after all this, the assassination attempt, and you see what's going on at the RNC and how jovial things were, and people were up. I really do. A lot of people were worried that this is going to kind of tear the country apart. I'm not seeing that from just my anecdotal experience. I'm seeing a lot of people coming together going, this was so extreme. This is not okay. We cannot have this happen. And people are kind of at least turning down the temperature. Regular people are turning down the temperature a little bit. That's what I'm seeing. So again, with that being said, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, you guys listening, what you're seeing out there. Is the temperature dropping? Are people really going to stop fighting and kind of come together as Americans? That's what I'm seeing.
Well, here's what I think about. Had he died, then maybe there would have been.
It would have been, because then terrible.
Now I heard people say, they shot at him, and I saw people on MSNBC. Who are they? Who are they shot at him? Because they're disavowing any responsibility. And again, I'm always one to say it's the person that shot. It's their responsibility.
I mean, the person who killed him is a sick individual.
But the people on the other side, the left, no matter what happens, don't they always come out and say it's the rhetoric of the right? Don't they always blame, Trump or somebody on the right and our position on gun control and all that? Isn't that the cause of all of this? But and that's why when they don't tell us, like the Las Vegas guy, like the trans girl down in Tennessee, and like this one, here it is 6 days later. We know almost nothing about this kid. Right? Was he that? He never went on social media. He didn't write anything down. He had nobody. He talked to nobody. He kept all this to himself. He never, the only thing we said, he had a Google. He looked about depression or something. He looked up the DNC. He was going to go to the DNC. See, he's a Republican, and of course they want him to be a Republican very badly. And then you'll see about then you'll hear everything about him. But if he's got any left leanings, we won't hear about it. And this is why we don't trust any of them, right? And I didn't put this in this, and I'm just thinking about we should talk about this now. And that's the as I am an attorney, as you probably know. And I wanted to talk about first the immunity finding. And
we all forget about that because of all the extreme events that have happened.
And then the judge down in Florida who found that the special counsel was unconstitutional. And so I want to. So let's talk a little bit about that, because it is so important. And this is where we're all coming to. You mentioned Jim Van Jones, and he was talking about that the story, right? That he comes out of nowhere, and talk about Trump in 2016. He comes out of nowhere and wins in this surprising election, and then he's dogged by all of these investigations and all of this. He barely loses the second term in 2020. It looks like they're going to put him in prison. He's got how many charges against him? And he's facing hundreds of years in prison, and it looks inevitable that they're going to put him in prison, and he's done all these
the New York Times,
all these terrible things, and all of this, and it's inevitable. And then he gets shot at, almost killed, and now he's risen, right? The resurrection. And that's what Van Jones talking about, the resurrection, kind of tying it into biblical and classic storytelling, right? I forget what the story that the age-old story that they use over and over again in Star Wars and every movie ever made, right? What they call the
redemption,
the hero,
the
hero story, right?
The hero arc, or
and this is how it's coming together like that. But and then how it looks inevitable, and then and how those in the wilderness, like myself, who say, well, this is the way the law should work, right? This is not legal. These are made up charges. That where is this guy coming from? Now, I don't know if you saw this, Jim, or those watching, that now Hunter Biden has a motion up to dismiss his cases because he says the special counsel, because remember, he had a special counsel too. And so they're saying, wait a minute, the special counsel is unconstitutional. My father appointed a special counsel against me unconstitutionally. The difference is, I've watched a lot of these left-wing pundits talk about what a travesty the decision was, how wrong it is, how every court that's ever thought about it said that that Justice Department has this right. It's a 90-page decision that is based in the Constitution and law. There's no doubt about it, right? And the difference between the special counsel that went after Hunter Biden and the special counsel and most other special counsels, Peter Fitzgerald, for example, not Peter, but Fitzgerald, who was the special counsel in one of these matters. The difference is they were district attorneys, right? They went through vetting. They were voted on in the Senate and confirmed in the Senate. Smith was never confirmed for the Senate. That's the key difference. That's what makes it unconstitutional. Not the fact that it's a special counsel. That's not what makes it unconstitutional. The fact that he never was appointed by the president and never went before the Senate to get confirmed. And they said, well, let's go now. We'll just put somebody else in charge. No, too late. Everything he did is now gone. And I know it's going to the 11th Circuit, and Jack Smith has brought an appeal. Any fair reading, and again, we don't always get fair readings, and now I've been saying for a long time they've been talking about this immunity case, and that and almost everybody on the left that I saw said, "Oh, it's impossible. We'll never get any immunity. The courts have. There's no immunity. There's never an immunity." But there was a case, right? There was a civil case. The Nixon case was a civil, but that's civil law, not criminal law. You could be immune from civil lawsuits, but not criminal lawsuits. Yet the same reasoning goes between both of them. And we all know that judges have immunity. Congress people have immunity. It's not some, now he can go kill people. No, that's not what immunity allows you to do. All of these judges and everything, again, they all have immunity. And the court, and Nixon said he had immunity. And one reason why they give them immunity for their acts while they're official acts is to protect them from exactly what's going on against Trump. Right, that you come out of office, they say you broke the law, they try to put you in prison. For what? For the files, for the file case down in Florida, they're going to put him in prison because he took some files that they said, these are classified. It's like, today I can read them, but tomorrow, even though he still has a security clearance, the President of the United States, now we're going to put him in prison for it. And again, that's exactly why immunity was a foregone conclusion. And the court found it just consistent with court precedent that, yes, he has immunity for official acts. And so now they got to go back to court and say, well, what was an official act? Now we have to determine that, right? So when people say, well, he was killed, he could go kill somebody. No, he can't. No, he can't. It's just not in. Now, regarding the getting rid of Jack Smith, again, it's going to be, he appealed it now to the 11th Circuit. If the 11th Circuit doesn't go along with it, and again, if you've even pursued or looked at the 90-page opinion from the judge down in Florida, you see it's based in reason and law. She didn't make this up. They said, well, Clarence Thomas said something in some dissent, and she ran with that. You don't write a 90-page decision overnight, right? That took weeks to write, months maybe to write. So she's been reviewing these cases because you got to read all the cases and understand them. And so she's been working on this for a long time before Justice Thomas wrote it in some opinion that he thought it was a valid argument. Remember, it was Ed Meese who wrote an amicus brief in this case a long time ago.
What's an amicus brief?
Amicus brief is a brief, what they call a friend of the court. So you're not a party to the lawsuit, but you have some insight into the way the law works. Ed Meese was the Attorney General for the United States. He's got an insight into the way the law.
You have to keep like a web up, you ever watch the Private Eye old TV shows? They have the web. This guy's here and this guy's here. They're connected and they're connected here. It's too much for the common person to keep up with.
You know who does that so well? Glenn Beck. He's got the whiteboard up and he ties it all together. He is a hell of a storyteller. Glenn Beck is. I have to give him that. The guy can tell a story. Anyway, this stuff is not. It's not something that they came up right away. Again, Ed Meese wrote this amicus brief months and months ago, and brings the issue up. Are you supposed to just disregard that opinion? Well, the courts always allow. The courts allow a lot of stuff that's illegal. We should not allow anything that's unconstitutional that go on, and that's what's so much wrong in our. And that brings us to another big the Supreme Court decision about the executive branch and their the regulatory agencies and what they used to call the Chrysler.
I can pull it up. What are they talking? So what is kind of like the story? How does it go? So I can look it up.
The Supreme Court just came out with this decision. Is it the Chrysler? I don't know why I'm because I talk a lot about it. I read the decision. My son Jake has a website that he reads the syllabus from each. The syllabus is whenever you see a United States Supreme Court decision. Right before the decision is written, there's a page, maybe a page and a half, of a summary of what the case is and how.
And what does the case have to do with?
The regulatory agencies and the deference that they have. Use deference. I think it was.
I don't even know how to spell that. So. Look, you can laugh all you want. I have no.
I would spell it for you.
But again,
no, I'm laughing because I'd spell it for you, but I'm not a good speller.
Yeah, no,
it's
don't.
Deference. Just spell it out, Jim. Just like it sounds.
I'm looking at it. Chevron. There we are.
Not Chrysler.
Hold on.
It's a Chevron deference. Chevron was an oil company.
Yes.
Okay, and the Chevron deference.
I know what you're talking about.
So the Chevron deference is, some years ago, the Supreme Court said, if Congress passes a law and the regulatory agencies interpret it in a reasonable way, even if it's not the way Congress wanted it to be interpreted, that's the way we're going to interpret it. And so that gives these regulatory agencies, which is the executive branch, all this power, right? We've all heard the stories of some puddle in somebody's front yard that the EPA comes in and says, oh, this is a navigable waterway. Well, why would they say that? Because then that gives them power over what you do in your front yard, right? Well, now they can tell you what you should do, and they can close it down, and they can take it over, and all of this, right? And even though the law doesn't really say that. And so the Chevron deference now has been overruled. And what did the court say? And everybody, and the left is up in arms about this. Oh, this is ridiculous. This is good. This is the end of the world.
You're taking precedence and tossing.
This is of course, when they controlled the Supreme Court, they made up rules like Roe v. Wade, like the Chevron deference, and there's countless other ways. And so now, it's because they overruled precedent in their own way, now when we overrule their precedent, it's like, oh, that's the end of the world. You can't overrule the precedent. Well, how did we get this rule in the first place? You overruled something. Okay, and it was, and when you guys had control, and you guys, they've had control for years, right? And so this is why we've been losing all of our rights, in my opinion. And that's why, again, what does this Chevron deference do? It goes back to the Constitution. We have three branches of government, right? The legislator writes the law. The judicial branch interprets the law, not the executive branch. The executive branch executes the law. They don't interpret it. And so what happened was the courts kind of just acquiesced and gave that interpretation of the law to the executive branch. That's a separation of powers problem. All of these things come to the separation of powers, right? The left doesn't want separation of powers. They want all the power in the judiciary when they run it. Now that they don't run it, they don't want anything in the judiciary. The executive branch, because even when a Republican comes in charge, they still run all the regulatory agencies. And so, as we found out when Trump was elected, right? He got rid of a bunch of regulations and things, all under the protest of those in charge of those agencies. They didn't want to give up that power, and so again, that's the beauty of our Constitution, and that's why we need to really focus on our Constitution and go back to it. Let's follow the Constitution. If there's a question,
do what Joe Biden does. Go back to it. Do the whispering.
It's
not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Stop it.
But Joe, no. Think about it, Joe. You might want to. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere.
No, but no. So, but you're right. And again,
God Almighty has to tell me.
How many of these, people are now starting to kind of reject the extremes on both sides and going, we need to go back to, and we said it before on the radio show several years ago, go back and have a fundamental discussion on the Bill of Rights.
Yes. And this is what I was just getting to, though, Joe, Jim.
Joe. That's not Joe.
the path to where we're coming right from, and that's why I started with Obama, right, and how he kind of took us down this path, because you need leaders to take you down the path. Right? And so everybody looked to Obama, who I think is a false leader, whether he is or not. He took us down a certain path, right? The path has turned out to be obviously wrong, right? We can't be $30 trillion in debt, $33 trillion in debt, $40 trillion in debt. And that's the road he took us down. Well, and I know my kids tell me this, well, the Republicans are on there too. Yeah, the Republicans are bad too. I get that. And some years ago, Jim and I were talking about this, about the precinct project with Dan Schultz, who we had on the show, and he's this. And I was many years ago, I was a precinct committeeman, and I got out of it because I was really disillusioned because the Republicans in charge here in Lake County is like, you might as well be Democrats. It really turned me off to the whole system. But Dan Schultz woke me up and said, hey, more than half of all precinct committee for nationally, and certainly here in Lake County where I am, and all other Collier counties, DuPage County, all these other counties, more than half of all Republican precinct committeeman spots are empty. There's nobody there. And that's why our party is going nowhere. There's no plan. There's nobody trying to talk anybody into becoming Republicans or voting with us. Okay, we got these people that nobody knows and nobody likes because nobody's voting for them, right? So you need to get involved. And I'm going to kind of cut the show off here because on that note, because I've been really hammering this home in my newsletters and first I'm going to tell you. Go to fightbacknow.com, sign up for my daily newsletter. Okay, I send a newsletter out most every day about different issues for business owners. So if you're a business owner and you're not then you should be. And so go to fightbacknow.com. I'm also launching a membership program for business owners. Okay, for as little, the lowest, the initial membership is $90, but I'm doing a launch and I'm going to make it $25 a month.
What?
Yes, $25 a month. You're going to get the email newsletter. You're going to get my monthly newsletter that I mail out. You're going to get a copy of my book. You're going to get the report, what every business owner should know about taxes. Right? That report alone is worth the $25 a month. And I'm sending that to you for free. So even if you decide not to stay the next month, you can stop anytime you want, then you still get these bonuses, right, that I'm going to give you, right? So all of that. I have reports of, what is the Fresh Start program I'm going to provide to you. I've got a report, what is an offer in compromise? These types of reports. I don't have them all in front of me, but I have a lot of these free reports and all of these gifts that I want to give you just for trying it out. So go to fightbacknow.com, sign up for the email newsletter, and call me. Go to 312-664-6649. Tell me you want to be a launch member. If you join the launch member at $25 instead of the $97, which is what the initial rate is, if you join for $25, as long as you're a member, I will never raise the price.
That's unbelievable.
So $25. And what does also that give you? Unlimited telephone consultations. You got a question about taxes? You got someone you can call about taxes. And let me tell you something about the IRS. You're going to have more and more. If you're running a business, they are now your partner. I say they used to be your silent partner. Silent no more. You're going to hear from the IRS on a regular basis, and you're going to need someone to turn to and ask, what the hell is this? What are they doing? What is this notice for? What do I do about this? And you're going to have someone you can call, and that's the membership's all about. That's someone that you can call, and I'll take your call and answer your questions for $25 a month. I could tell you my hourly rate is a lot more than $25.
It ain't $25 a month. Yeah.
That doesn't pay for 6 minutes of my time. Okay, so I encourage you, get in touch with me. Tell me you want to be a launch member, and we're going to put you on for $25 a month.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
It's but thanks for so much. I know I ranted now for over an hour. I talked about things that I like to talk about.
I like it though. That was a good job. That was good.
Well,
I know we had a few watchers because again,
my most recent short. I put out shorts, so and again that goes out with the email newsletter, so you'll get a copy.
Short videos.
The short videos that I do YouTube. I'm on Instagram. I do it on LinkedIn. But my last one, my most recent one is about passion. Right, so I like to be passionate about the subjects that I talk about,
regardless if you agree with the guy or not.
Be passionate about, bring passion in your life, right? Be passionate about it, and you'll see your life change. So bring that in.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, again, we want to thank Attorney Stephen. Listen, we want to thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah.
It was a great show. There's going to be more like these down the road. Next week, we're going to have more great interviews.
Scott Burton.
I honestly love just sitting and talking. It's cool. I mean, it's just cool that you could set this up now. It's that we could just kind of go about and have a conversation. Make sure you share the video. Make sure you like the page. Comment. Honestly, it doesn't matter which side of the road you're on. It's right now about coming together as Americans. We want to hear your point of view. It'd be interesting. It'd be fun. And honestly, wait until we get a call-in line set up. That'll be.
I want the call-in line.
We'll figure something out. But again, ladies.